It's time for the biggest event on Drive's calendar, and really the biggest car of the year, because we don't just crown one winner. We look at every category, from small cars to large family vehicles and the latest EVs on the road. It's time for the 2023 Drive Car of the Year.
Each segment is put under the microscope before specific Drive Car of the Year testing gets underway, with our independent editorial team running the ruler over any vehicle launched or tested in the previous 12 months. And it's all part of our quest to find out which new car is best in segment, and then the single vehicle that moves the automotive landscape forward for the most Australian new car buyers. But how do we test?
Well, Drive Car of the Year testing is actually quite a detailed exercise. We go through each and every car on the outside to look at its style and design. We look at all the dimensions. We even go into the detail of what tyres it has on. We then shift our focus to the inside. Here, we take a deep dive into the boot, the back seat, and of course the front seat. We have a really detailed data sheet on every car, just so we have all the information at our fingertips. Now, while up here in the front of the car, we spend time looking at the infotainment system and onboard safety technology, because after all, this is where you're going to be spending most amount of your time. Once we've done all that, of course, we hit the road. While on the road, we talk about economy, comfort, road noise, and then we get into dynamics and do things like slalom. We assess outright performance, we do a swerve and recover, and then we do some high-speed brake testing.
Our Drive Car of the Year testing took place at various locations around Australia, including a private runway on a closed facility, well-used country back roads across 2 states, and off the beaten track to ensure we answer every question there is about the contenders. Drive's Car of the Year awards find the best cars for Australian buyers, and that's why last year's winners take on the best that this year has to offer. From that testing, each of our 19 category winners were awarded, and from that impressive crop, only vehicles new to the market in 2023 are eligible for the overall win. From the individual category winners, these are some of the finalists that are eligible for the overall Drive Car of the Year award for 2023.
That's right, Trent. The winner of Drive Car of the Year is in the room with us right now. It's pretty exciting stuff. This is the best of the automotive world, and we're going to find out how they got here.
Honourable mentions go to all the finalists, including the Mercedes-Benz C-Class, yet another exceptional luxury sedan with refinement and build quality. The Nissan Z, a retro-inspired sports car with performance capability, stylish looks, and engaging driving dynamics. The Nissan Qashqai, a new SUV in one of the most competitive segments on the Australian new car market. The styling has matured, and so has the practicality and value for money. And Kia's excellent EV6, an electric vehicle that ticks every box Australian EV buyers demand in 2023. With price parity a way off, the EV6 feels like a premium product from Kia.
In joint third place, we had 2 medium SUVs. This one, the Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid, claimed the title in our new category, Best Medium Hybrid SUV, thanks to its combination of low fuel consumption and decent electric-only range with a massive versatile cabin. Also claiming third place was the brand new 4th generation Nissan X-Trail, and let me tell you, it really shone in testing.
Nissan needed a competitive new SUV in the medium segment, and it got one with the new X-Trail. To say it's been a long time coming is an understatement, and Aussie buyers love the X-Trail and continued to buy the old model, even though it had been comprehensively overtaken by newer models. The judges noticed its efficiency in testing, even in a class that is efficient across the board, along with cabin comfort, storage, and family-friendly practicality. But there can be only one winner. For starters, this vehicle won its own incredibly competitive segment, and then it entered eligibility for the overall 2023 Drive Car of the Year award in what, it must be said, is an incredibly impressive field of vehicles.
That's right, and the winner is the Ford Ranger, the first dual cab ute to take the title in Drive Car of the Year history.
new Ranger is an execution that illustrates just how much time Ford engineers have spent ensuring that it is practical for daily use. Australians have used these dual cabs as daily drivers and family conveyances for a long time now, but Ford is the first manufacturer to really sweat the small details that make the new Ranger so practical and comfortable. I know we say this every year, Suze, incredibly tough field, a lot of detail in the judging, really impressive vehicles this year for 2023, but the Ford Ranger, deserving winner.
It really is. We loved this car both on and off the road, which is really important in this segment. On top of that, we thought the Ranger's interior was a huge leap forward with lots of thoughtful practicality and design touches throughout. And there's value to be had no matter where you shop in this segment.
Absolutely. There's impressive local engineering in the Ford Ranger on any terrain. It doesn't matter where you're driving. And we know that Australian family buyers are looking at these dual cabs more than they ever have as default family vehicles. So let's take a closer look at how the Ford Ranger took out the overall win. The V6 diesel engine and 10-speed automatic are an excellent combination, smooth and efficient. They work well whether you're on the highway, in town or off-road. And don't forget, there's the option to leave the drivetrain in four-wheel drive auto and let the system do the work for you. Single-digit fuel use figures are achievable around town, which is genuinely impressive. And it's the comfort level on any road, cabin storage and ergonomics that are standouts in a segment continuing to improve.
Utes have really become the modern day Australian family car, and the Ranger is a great example of that. It's not fair to say it's car-like to drive, but it drives a lot like an SUV these days, not like an old workhorse. Ute buyers used to have to compromise on safety, but that's no longer the case.
Ford Ranger, absolutely a worthy winner of 2023 Drive Car of the Year. It's redefined the segment. That interior especially has lifted the game for the dual cab ute segment, and we loved its choice of powertrains. Whether you go for a 4-cylinder or that lusty V6, you're going to get a good ute.
I'm sure a lot of the others have spoken about things like the interior and the powertrains. One thing I do really like about this Ranger is the small details, things like the storage under the back seat, that rear step there at the tub, making it easy to get into. There's room for a battery under the bonnet as well. There's a lot of little details that shows that Ford have really sweated on this Ranger, and it shows in the final product.
The judges were really impressed by the design, execution and recognition by Ford's engineers that this dual cab is used more like a vehicle than it is a work truck, and that's never more evident than it is right here inside the cabin. Start with the infotainment and the interactive driver display. They're both huge screens, they're visible in any light, they're easy to use, they're responsive to inputs, and they're fast to act when you want to do something either there or change the appearance of the driver's gauges. Same goes for the switch gear. Switches on the steering wheel, air conditioning controls and a volume dial down there. Really easy to understand, easy to use, and importantly, easy to get your head around quickly. The drive selection dial down here is a good one too, and it's worth noting that you've got constant four-wheel drive if you want in 4Auto in this vehicle, which a lot of the dual cabs still don't have. Moving on to storage, it's clever and it's functional, and perhaps most importantly, it's useful because we're focusing on people who use these every day. You get cup holders. These are useful here in the center console. You've also got plenty of storage in that center console bin and bottle holders in the door, as well as a glove box that stores what you need to store day to day and keep it out of prying eyes. Now, I think it's recognition in here, and the judges agree, that this is very comfortable, very practical and very functional if you're using your dual cab every day. It's worth noting that none of these dual cabs stand head and shoulders above the others when it comes to room in the second row. They're all about on par. Some are marginally better than others, and we'd say the judges agree that the Ranger is up towards the top of the class. That's my driving position. I've got enough room back here. I'm comfortable enough. It's certainly not uncomfortable, and if we were going on a longer drive, I wouldn't have any problem sitting behind someone who was 6'1" there in the driver's seat. It's worth also noting that the door handles in the Ranger, and that's whether they are the back or the front, they're excellent. They're incredibly intuitive and really clever design. Where they've been put inside the handle, where they've been positioned, just makes it so easy to grab it. And what you find yourself doing when you've test driven a Ranger and you jump into another dual cab, you go looking for a door handle in the same place because it's really clever. We like the material they've used in this XLT. It's pretty robust. You get air vents, get a charging port as well. And the judges also noted the clever under-seat storage. This seat base flips up and there's some under-seat storage, which is fantastic for things like extra jacks or jack equipment, recovery gear, tow hooks and shackles, things like that that you want to keep out of the weather if you've got an open tray, or certainly out of sight from other people, so you can put them under the seat. All in all, if you're using this as a family vehicle, it's pretty comfortable back here, even on longer drives. In terms of the way the Ford Ranger behaves on the road, it's always been right up at the head of the segment, even though there've been utes like the Nissan Navara that have attempted to lift the game running coil springs at the rear, and Ranger, outside of the Raptor, continues on with leaf springs. This ute has always been at the head of the segment, and what the new Ranger's done is it's stepped that forward once again. So the ride, the bump insulation, the bump absorption, the way that it just takes a hit, settles itself and carries on, means that you're always comfortable inside the cabin, and it's a fantastic driving dual cab, which gets back to the point that we always make about Ranger, and the point that we made when we were looking at the cabin in isolation. Ford engineers, with a lot of input from Australian engineers and design teams, has understood, acknowledged and implemented things that take into account that the average Australian is buying this kind of dual cab to do exactly this, to do what we're doing right now. Drive around in town, maybe take the family out on a road trip. They're not necessarily a workhorse anymore. They do get used for towing, but they're not necessarily a pure workhorse. And as such, Ford has delivered a dual cab that does exactly that job and does it particularly well. It doesn't matter whether you're cruising through town on sealed roads or out in the rough stuff on dirt, gravel and rocks. Over the duration of our testing, the Ford Ranger is a truly deserving winner of the overall crown as the 2023 Drive Car of the Year. Well, there you have it, Ford Ranger winning the overall Drive Car of the Year award for 2023. Big deal for us at Drive, the culmination of a lot of testing, and a big deal for Ford. First of all, and most importantly, thank you to all of the manufacturers who have been part of the testing. It's a pretty serious undertaking, so to be involved in that, we really do appreciate it. And of course, thank you to every member of the Drive team. It's a huge amount of work, and we appreciate everything that you've put into Drive Car of the Year.
And thank you at home for watching and reading everything we've done. If you liked what you saw, hit the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and for more on all the individual categories and all the hard work that went into Drive Car of the Year, head to Drive.com.au.